Hi there JT family, and welcome back to part 3 of the I Am a Brand development session. Just a quick recap of what happened in the past 2 videos. We discussed the fundamental questions that one needs to ask when you want to develop a successful and significant brand. And we came to the conclusion that what you do is important, but the most important question that you need to ask yourself as a personal brand is, who do you want to be? Because that will ultimately influence how you are perceived in this world. So in part 3, we're going to do a practical exercise. I hope you have downloaded the document provided, because you will need it in completing this practical session. I also want to remind you of the competition. If you have been consistent in participating in this online session, you will get the opportunity or stand the chance to win amazing prizes. So I want to encourage you to take part in this practical session, and at the end I will give you all the details what you need to do to stand the chance of winning the online assessment as well as a coaching session. Now, the brand equation. At Roar, we created a unique brand development tool which is called the Roar Brand Equation. Before we start with the practical session, I just want to quickly take you through the elements that the equation is comprised out of. I want to start off with the first one. Where do you think a brand starts? Don't overcomplicate it. But a brand starts with an idea. So if you want a successful, significant brand, the idea of the brand needs to be super clear. What you then need to take that idea and develop it and build it is a strong foundation. And that is what we call values in the marketing world. So if you want to develop an idea, you need to identify and know what your values are. What you then need to do is you need to take your values and you need to action them. And that is the third component of the brand equation. Now, as part of this development process, we have a webinar that focuses on this action component. So for the sake of this session, we are not going to focus on the action component. But if you have registered in part 2, you will get the invite to the webinar where we will take you through a complete goal setting process that is focused on getting you to take action. Now, if we take idea plus values plus action, what do you think it will equate to? A lot of people will say something like success. And that is true in part. In marketing terms, if we take those 3 components and we add them together, it will equate to what we call brand identity. For the sake of this course, we call it character. And ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what you will be remembered for. You will not be remembered for what you do, you will be remembered for who you are, and you are your character. So I want to encourage you that your focus at this stage in your life is not to try become the next billionaire. Yes, that will come. But your focus right now needs to be, how do I develop my character? Because we are all dreaming of a big destiny. We all have aspirations of achieving something really big in this lifetime. I want to pose this scenario to you. What if your destiny is dependent on the strength of your character? And that is something that I've seen everywhere I go. The lack of character influences the size of the dream. The strength of character influences the size of the dream. So if you are dreaming big, make sure that your character is strong enough to carry that dream. Please get the worksheet ready as we're going to go through the worksheet together. You will see on page 1, we have a blue block that says, I am a brand. I want you to write your name in there. And I also want to ask you that if you know the meaning of your name, to write the meaning of your name in there as well. I love the fact that in some cultures in South Africa, a lot of emphasis and meaning is placed when giving a name. In my Afrikaans culture, we sort of sometimes just get handed down a name. And I want to quickly tell you this story. My dad's name was Ferdinand. My grandfather's name was Ferdinand, and they sort of just decided, let's just chop his name and call him Ferdi. So there wasn't really a meaning behind it. But there was a point in time where I decided, I'm going to start researching and try and figure out what my name means. And it ended up having the meaning of the adventurous one. And you know what? That is exactly who I am. I ended up phoning my mom and asking her, "Mom, why did you give me the name Ferdi?" And she said, "Well, it's your dad's name." And I asked her, "Do you know the meaning of my name?" And she said, "I don't know." And I said to her, "Well, it means the adventurous one." And she started crying and said, "You know, my boy, that is exactly who you are." So your name carries a lot of meaning. A brand's name carries a lot of meaning. So once you've completed that, I want you to move over to the next section, which says the idea for my life. This is a very interesting component because everything else is dependent on this section. What do you think the idea for your brand is? I want to quickly just tell you a story about Apple and the importance of that idea, because it's super important. Without the idea, everything is diluted or distorted. So Steve Jobs is the founder and CEO of Apple. Apple starts developing as a brand and they start gaining a lot of momentum in the marketplace. They start competing with the big guys in the market, and ultimately what happens is Steve goes to his board of directors. He says, "Guys, we need to do a lot of research. If we're going to take these guys on, we need to be well prepared." His board of directors said no, they weren't interested in that, and he was persistent. And ultimately what happened was the board of directors fired him out of his own business. They fired the idea bearer for Apple out of the business. What happens? The business starts declining. And 3 months before bankruptcy, they run back to Steve and say, "Steve, please come back." Steve goes back and he says, "I'll come back on one condition. All of you are fired." And ever since that day, the brand was reestablished and it started developing. And today it's the #1 brand in the world. Why do I tell you this? It's because the idea was taken out of the business and the business started falling apart. When the idea came back into the business started flourishing. And it's the same with us. If the idea isn't clear for your brand, you will struggle. You might achieve a level of success without a clear definition of what that idea is. But once you have that idea, the possibilities become endless. So I want to encourage you to get clarity with regards to that idea. And the idea doesn't speak about what you do. So for instance, if I can share the idea for my brand with you, I believe the idea for my brand is to activate people. It doesn't necessarily say anything about my job description, my title, or anything like that. I believe the idea for my brand is to activate people. What I then need to do is to get a vehicle in order to do that. And that is what Roar is. Roar, I'm a business owner. Roar is the vehicle where I activate people. So I want you to get clarity with regards to that idea for your brand. If you know what the idea for your brand is, please write it down. Moving on to the next section, you will see a whole list of words with a description next to it. And these are values. I want you to choose your top 5. Nothing more, nothing less. Read through the list, read through the description, and choose the value that resonates with you most. Remember, a value will resonate with you. It will speak to your heart. Some values sound better than others, but if it doesn't resonate with you, don't choose it. Remember, we are trying to create a solid foundation where you can build the idea for your brand on. Choose 5 values, nothing more, nothing less. Moving on to the next component of the worksheet, you will see a section called My Character, My Jungle ID. What I want you to do is to think about an animal in the animal kingdom that you can associate with. And then also think of 3 characteristics of that particular animal that you associate with. Once you have those characteristics, what I want you to do is I want you to draw the animal in the block where it says My Jungle ID. We are testing your creativity a little bit. Secondly to that, I want you to write the 3 characteristics right below the block. You will see the numbers 1, 2, 3. Write the 3 characteristics there and why you chose those characteristics. So for example, a dog is an energetic animal. It's a loyal animal. It's a friendly animal. Remember, our ultimate goal is to develop a character for your brand. because that is what you will be remembered for. So with this activity, I just want you to start thinking about the character that you are busy developing. The next component that we're going to be looking at is your future. Vision and mission. Vision is what you see for the future, and then mission is the practical steps that you will have to take to get to that desired vision. And I want you to think about your vision in two ways: what and who. What do you want to achieve in the future, maybe from an occupational level? And then who do you want to be in the future? Who do you want to end up being in the future? And then from a mission perspective, how would you achieve that? So just as an example, what do I want to be in the future? I want to be a consultant to the leaders of the world in the future. I want to be a consultant to presidents one day. That's what I want to achieve. That is my ultimate vision. Who I want to be is I want to be a man of influence and integrity. From a mission perspective, how will I achieve that? Well, maybe through consistency and being true to myself. But then also what? Presidents won't listen to me if I'm not qualified. So I will definitely have to continue studying, continue learning, and continue equipping myself in order to be a credible voice in their life. So take a moment, write down your vision, what and who, and then from a mission perspective, how are you going to achieve that? Once you have completed this, ladies and gentlemen, you have a branding plan. You can take that branding plan and put it up against your wall to keep you reminded of what you are busy developing in terms of a brand. Now, the competition part. In our face-to-face workshops, we usually ask the participants to come to the front and present their brand to the rest of the group. Why do we do it? Because you need to be confident in the brand that you are developing, and you need to be proud of it. So as part of the competition, I want you to take a video clip of you presenting your brand to the world. It's going to be easy. Nothing too serious. You will just stand up in front of the camera with your worksheet and say, "Hi, my name is Ferdi and I am a brand. I believe the idea for my brand is this. These are the 5 values that I've selected for my brand. This is the character that I associate with," and you can also show us the picture. "And these are the 3 characteristics that I associate with that particular character, as well as this is my future. This is the vision for my brand, and this is the mission for my brand." And that is it. What you then need to do is you need to send that video clip on WhatsApp to this number, and that will give you an entry into the competition. Please make sure that the videos are not too long, maybe a maximum of 1 minute, and you can be creative in the development of that particular video clip. The winners of the competition will be announced on the 31st of July on the live session Junior Tikkie will be hosting. Please note that your video clips needs to be sent in by Thursday, midday, 12 o'clock. Any late submissions will not be accepted. Ladies and gentlemen, this is I'm a Brand, and I'm so excited to see what you are going to build. Our nation needs you. The world needs you to develop your brand, not just to be successful, but also significant. Remember, life happens for you and not to you. This is Ferdi Ennis signing out. It is your time to roar.